In this video I'm going to show you how to create the flowers that you can see in this bottom right corner, and I'm going to do that using the brush tool and layer styles. So again, there's many different ways that you can do these, but what I started with was a black outline. Now to do this black outline I used the brush tool. So if we start by creating a new layer, and I can select my brush tool here on the left. So you can see up here you've got some features of the brush tool that you can change, or you can use the brush panel and it's a bit easier to see. So you'll have a number of different libraries where you can choose what style of brush you use. This is a bit of trial and error to see what kind of look you want. I've actually gone for this rough edged brush, and it's already in the shape of a petal, so that makes it easier as well. I can then change the size of the brush as well. So if I click up here and click on the brush size, you can see that if I move this slider about, it will change the size of that brush. You can also set the colour before you start using the brush by clicking on Set Foreground Color. So you can choose a colour that you want to use, but don't worry about this too much because you can always change it later. I'm going to stick with black for now. So I'll click OK, and then I can go ahead and draw my petal. Now an easy way to repeat this is by simply copying the layer. So if I grab that layer, so I click and I drag it to the Create New Layer icon, you can see that it's created a copy. Making sure my Move tool is selected, I can then move that petal. Again, I can change how it looks using Free Transform, so Edit, Free Transform, and it will allow me to rotate it and change the size. So I can move it about and put it where I want it and make it look how I want it to look. So now I'm just going to repeat that process. So once you're happy with the position of the petals, you can move on to the next stage. And you can see here on the right that I've got a number of layers, each with a petal on. So I want to merge those layers so it's one shape. So again, we select the layers by clicking on them, holding the Shift key down and selecting them all, then going to the Layer Panel menu and clicking Merge Layers. And now you can see that it's all on one layer. So there's a number of different things that you can do with the petal, and one of those things that I'm going to show you is layer styles. Now if I double click on the layer, not over the name because it will just rename it, if I double click on the layer it will bring up this dialog box, and you've got all these different styles that you can use. The one that I used to create the petal was the gradient overlay. So if I click on the tick, you can see down here that it's applied that gradient overlay. Now if I want to edit the style, I have to click on the actual style itself. So if I click on that, it brings up some options for you. So we can change the gradient to different colours, you can see here. I've also set mine to radial, so it might start with linear, so it'll look like this, but I've changed it to radial. There's others as well. It depends on what look you're going for. So if I OK that, you can see that it's applied the effect to that layer. Then all I do is copy that layer again, so click and drag, Free Transform. And if I just change the size, hold down the Shift and Alt key, and it will keep it in proportion, hit enter, you can see that it's created another copy. And I've made that a bit smaller, so we're starting to create a flower. Then I just repeat that process. So you can see once you start building up the styles, building up the layers, you can really get some good effects. I want something in the middle of this flower to get rid of this little white dot. So if I create a new layer again, and like we've done before, I'll use my elliptical marquee tool and I'll just create a little circle in the middle. Hold down the shift key and I can simply go edit, fill. If I click on the colour, I can select the colour that's in the middle of this and OK that. And then my flower's got a centre. If I want another flower that's the same, I can simply click and drag that layer and I can resize it. And then I've got two.